Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I'm Nai. We're moving our way through the Rock Cave, Rock Tunnel, formerly known as the Dark Cave. I don't know why they... Whoops, okay, that was bad. I really don't get why they didn't just omit Flash as a hidden move altogether. Now known as Secret Techniques. But I really... Why do I keep on throwing? I really don't know why they kept it in. Flash is such a... It wasn't good back when it was an HM, and at the very least back then, it was a move that decreased accuracy. So you actually got something out of it. Okay, he has apparently decided to start doing jumping jacks. Darn it! There we go. So it doesn't help now that we're in a situation where... Now it's a garbage, it's not even a move, and as a secret technique, it doesn't really do anything. There's only so many places in the entire game that are dark, and number one, you can get through most of them just by walking around. But also, having, like, just saying automatically, hey, it is dark, do you want to use this move, kind of negates the point of having it as a move. Outsiders like me, what, do you live here? Are you a resident of the Rock Tunnel? Man, I really wish I'd actually let off with something else. Ivysaur's having some real trouble. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and Leech Seed, and I'm going to hope that he doesn't critical hit. It's kind of unfortunate that, it's a Brick Break, okay. Get my health back. How much health am I getting back? Is it more than 11? No. Okay, I do need to swap out then. I'll let Pidgeotto come in. Yeah, it's just there were some hidden moves were always awesome. You know, Surf is always awesome. Everybody knows that Surf is cool. So Surf is always awesome. And then, Fly is always amazing. Strength is okay. It's kind of neat, kind of not. Waterfall was very cool. Dive was pretty awesome. There are always these moves that, when you play a Pokemon game, are pretty cool and do some neat stuff. God, Pidgeot has now hit level 30. That's impressive. Let's switch to Pikachu. But Flash was never one of those. You know, you got Cut, which was a fairly... I mean, Cut back in the day, it wasn't good, but it was at least an okay move. Had a decent amount of power behind it, decent amount of accuracy behind it. It was a physical attack. You got something out of that. I didn't realize Pikachu was level 32. Wow. You got something out of Cut, you know? But when you got Flash, all of us... Drill Run, this is new. Holy crap, it's the drill that pierces the heavens. No, do not do that again. Get out of here. But yeah, like, Flash was just not a thing. Also, it's because I'm wearing headphones, but the little vibration I heard out of that sound sounded so much like an old, like... GameCube controller vibrating, or maybe like your phone, you know, bzz, bzz, on your nightstand as you get a text. I want that Cubone. It also shows you how small Cubone is, and that's one thing I've really been enjoying in the game is the actual indication of size. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing. Some of the other Pokemon, because Pokemon like Dragonite are huge. So I'm really looking forward to actually seeing the comparison. But we also get to see, like, Cubone is tiny, especially when you look at Cubone compared to, you know, the Graveler that was right next to it. Cubone is a tiny Pokemon. So it's kind of cool to actually see those comparisons. You really didn't have the, oh crap, that's an Elite Trainer. Okay, that's a problem. Pikachu, is there a hidden item over here? No? Okay. Yeah, that is actually a problem. There's a Pokemaniac here. Charmeleon can lead off, but I'm pretty reasonably certain that we're gonna be fighting a Slowpoke, which is kind of an issue. Yeah, you're not getting a Pokedex. I might actually have to escape rope. Okay, there's Pokemaniac Cooper. Oh, hey, we actually led off correctly. I appreciate that. It's hard to tell with Pokemaniacs just because they have such a wide variety of Pokemon. Them, Ace Trainers, it's coming back, I promise. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There we go. You know, Pokemaniacs and Ace Trainers have a huge variety of Pokemon they can use. Yeah, so I have my Xbox One hooked up to my TV, and my Xbox One will actually turn off my TV when the Xbox One turns off. Usually that's pretty convenient. Just now, not so much. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fight the Ace Trainer here. How can I avoid vending? Okay, so here's the thing. There's no twigs in caves. You don't have that option. So some time ago, my family went up in the mountains of Colorado doing a, like, 3-day weekend vacation, right? So we went up to Glenwood Springs. And we were hanging out, having some fun up there. And I learned that in Glenwood Springs, you know, Glenwood Springs is known for its hot springs, right? That's the reason it's Glenwood Springs. Okay, how much damage is this actually going to do? Not much. Neat. So that's why it's Glenwood Springs, the hot springs. But there is a mountain, you know, you're in the middle of the mountains, right? It's basically a valley between a couple of different mountains. There's a small ski area up there. And then there's this mountain that you can go on and kind of look around. They've got a couple of, like, you know, hey, you're in the middle of, you know, a Colorado area. Let's show you some stuff. The views are beautiful. But I learned that Glenwood actually has a kind of extensive cave system. And they were offering to, so Nightshade is similar to some other things like Seismic Toss. It does damage equal to your level. So he's doing 25 damage each time. I'm doing 40 damage each time. I win. So it was kind of cool that you were allowed to go into the cave system. So they were getting people together to go in, and you had to schedule a day or two in advance. So I got to do my final day, and because of the there's a lot of iron in the soil up there. So the man, I got no good choices right now. There's a lot of iron in the soil up at Glenwood. So they were like, hey, you might want to go to Walmart and buy yourself... God, there's another one. You might want to buy yourself... you know, this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna do the smart thing. I'm going to escape rope out real quick. And then we'll just come right back in. So you might want to buy yourself some extra clothing. Because your clothing is going to get stained red when you come down here. So I got myself some, you know, some pants and a big long shirt. And we went spelunking. And it was very, very cool. So it was me with a group of, I think it was like 4 other people and our guide. And all of us got multiple flashlights. So we had a head flashlight and a hand flashlight. We had some, you know, if I remember correctly, we had a harness as well. So that way you could be grabbed and pulled if necessary. We went under. And there was some very neat stuff under there. It was kind of cool to walk around. And I've read a lot of books where the book tries to impart upon you what it is like being underground. And there is a kind of a massive difference between just being underground and being in a cave, especially under a mountain. You know, like I've been underground, like, and I think a lot of us have. You know, you have to dig for something, or you've got to. I mean, it's not underground, but you got to go underneath a house. You got to go in a place that's underneath something else, and you're cognizant of the fact that there's something above you, but that's about it. You know, there's no, it's not, there's something above you. Cool. You know, you get underneath your car, right? Or something like that. Or, you know, you get underneath a weeping willow or something. And there's something above you, but that's just, you still have this feeling of airiness, right? There's still room to move around. There's still, like, there's kind of, there's a little bit of freedom in what you can do. When you get under, underground, the way that we did, when you're in these caves, you can actually kind of feel a weight above you. You know, it's not one of those, like, oh God, it's going to fall on me. But, like, you can definitely feel that you're inside of the earth. And I think part of it is that, first of all, it's dark. Like, I know that sounds obvious, and you're sitting there going, well, no shit, now you're inside of a cave. That's not the point. We went in, and we were a couple of caves into the system. And our guide wanted to impress upon us how dark it was, so we all turned off our lamps. You know, our helmet lamps and our flashlights. Everything was turned off. And it is a level of dark that most people will never see. Like, I'm not talking about going outside when it's not a full moon. I'm not talking about being in your room when the lights are off, because most of us have windows. Most of us have, there's other things around that will provide some measure of light. You know, there's ambient light in a lot of places. And even when you go and you're in the woods, right? You know, you go and you drive an hour from everywhere, and you're in the woods, and the light, and it's an overcast night, and the moon's not out, and you're like, okay, it's dark, but there's still a level of dark underground that is even more than the level of dark that you experience anywhere else. Because it's not just that there's an absence of light, it is the fact that there will be no light. There will never, the only light under there is that which you took with you. Like, the term velvety darkness is a great example, because it's like being in, a entire, taking a bag of black velvet and putting it around your head at night. You don't see it. There's nothing. You can't even pretend there's something. You know, that's kind of what you reach when you're down there. You can't pretend there's something. You can't. There's nothing. Absolutely. You know, you are blind to everything. You can, and also it's not that it's just dark. It's quiet. There's nothing to hear. There's no wind. There's no, man, this guy is actually doing some decent work. There's no wind. There is no, there wasn't, in the cave system I was in, there was no moisture, so there wasn't water dropping and stuff like that. What you could hear was your own breathing, and you could hear your own damn heartbeat. That's how quiet it was. So it was definitely this very, very cool thing. And what was kind of cool also is that we had a very small group. Apparently they usually have groups of 20 to 30, but we were a group of 5 or 6. So because of that, we were able to go to some deeper sections of the cave system that we weren't able to go to before, that you would normally not be going to. And this was kind of neat because when you see caves normally, this is not the first cave system that I've ever been in. In Colorado, if you're in the Colorado Springs, Manitou area, there's a Pokemon cosplay, huh? There's a cave system called the Cave of the Winds, which is, it's 5 or 6 fairly large caves. And when I say large, I mean the size of a IMAX theater. They're large, they're lit up. They've got electric lighting and things like that. It's not claustrophobic, and actually there is movement of air, things like that. So I've been in cave systems before, and a lot of people have gone to Mammoth Cave. This is a lot tighter. There was actually an area that we went through that they called Castration Point, and it was this very narrow little tunnel, about 3 feet wide all around, and there was a spike at the end of the tunnel, and then a 4-foot drop after that. So no one really, like, it wasn't hard to do, but the problem is that if you were, you don't, like, crawl forwards and then crawl over the lip, because it's a 4-foot drop. So you don't go over like that, like you would go over most things in a tunnel. You have to kind of extend one leg over the edge, hold on to the lip with your arms, and then extend the other leg over the edge. But the idea is that if you kind of lose balance, because it's a 4-foot drop, you are dropping your pelvic region directly onto this spike. And apparently a lot of guys have had some very specific trouble with this because of anatomy, which is kind of understandable. So, like, we had to go deal with that, and that's one of the places that they would not normally have people go past, because this is a hard place to pass. And if you have spelunkers with you that are, you know, big in body, like I got to work on my weight, but I'm not big. You know, big people are not getting through this tunnel. Yeah, this thing looks tiny, sure. So, if you have trouble with this point, the guide and your fellow spelunkers have to help you get through there, because you're not going anywhere if you can't get past this. I do have plenty of Pokeballs. You know, you're not getting past this without help if you get stuck. So they don't normally have people go through this section when there's a large group of people, just because it takes too long to get through. We were able to go further, and there was this amazing large cavern. Now, what we had is we had like this. The cavern, again, think the size of an IMAX theater or a movie theater. It's fairly large, fairly deep in there. And there was this ledge, and then there was this gigantic pit. And we didn't go to the pit and look down, because that would have been a bad idea. You don't do that. But there was these so many stalactites that we were able to look at. And there was, you know, kind of the cloudy formations. I really wish I knew the names. So my geologists out there, I know there's probably one of you that ever watches this, but you probably know the names of all these formations that I simply don't. But there were these kind of cloud-like, big, kind of rounded, whitish red formations that, again, look like clouds. There were various colors, and these were natural colors. When you see a lot of these cave systems, and you kind of go through, a lot of them are lit unnaturally. Like, they're trying to show off the colors, but they kind of use, you know, they try to use, like, these colored lanterns to really bring out the colors of the stone, and this wasn't needed down here. So it was a very cool experience. Like, it's an experience that, you know, going underground like this in the manner that we did, I really would love to do it again sometime. You know, and for me, it wouldn't matter if it was a, you know, Mammoth Cave experience where you could just drive through it, you know, or something like that. Or it could be the more claustrophobic experience that we went in there. And I'm not claustrophobic, so when I say claustrophobic, what I just mean is that it was tight and it was dark. And that triggers some people. I understand that. I'm not one of those people that are afraid of tight, dark spaces. But for some people, that is definitely going to be a frightening and, you know, harrowing experience. But for me, it was awesome. So I'd love to go do that again. But the whole point of this whole story time was that going through rock tunnel here, like, I've been in caverns like this. Some of the big ones, like the game is showing, and some of the tiny ones that the game doesn't ever show. All the cave systems we ever seen in Pokemon games are huge and wide. You know, you have space to look around. You know, you have personal space. But I've been in these types of cave systems, and it's an experience. But when we're talking about, like, you know, dark, you know, I've had that experience. I've experienced the dark, and it is. I remember reading through Terry Pratchett's book Thud in the Discworld novels. Thud is one of my favorites. I'm sure a lot of people might agree, but I loved Thud. And in Thud, the dwarves of Discworld have multiple names for the dark. It's not just, you know, darkness. It's, you know, there's different types of darkness. People tell you there's different shades of black. And until you really see some of this sort of stuff, you know, especially my city dwellers out there, who, you know, I used to live not in the country, but I used to live a good 30 to 40 miles away from the nearest big town. The place I grew up in is Monument, Colorado. Monument is about 30 to 45 miles north of Colorado Springs and about 60 miles south of Denver. And when my family moved to Monument, Monument was a truck stop. Like, that's really all it was. It was just a truck stop. That's about it. It was in not the middle of nowhere, but it wasn't a big thing. Like, we had a Blockbuster, and that was about it. And when I forget, like, Walmart finally showed up, and that was going to be the end of the world. That happened around the time that my family moved away for other reasons. Let's see if I can land a thunder here. But you know, Walmart showing up was supposed to be like the biggest damn deal. Oh, cool, we have animations. Oh, get wrecked. So, you know, I lived out there, so I was used to, you know, having dark nights, seeing the stars. Like, there's a darkness that you experience in, you know, let's see what we got. Okay, cool. We're at the end. But there's different levels of darkness. And again, for my city dwellers out there, for those folks who are, you know, you've lived in cities all your life, you don't know darkness. You really don't. Hello, you right there. Come here. I've been waiting for one of you. But city dwellers, like, and I live just outside of New Orleans now, so I'm a city dweller at this point. But I'm sure there are people who are going to hear me say the term city dwellers, and they're like, you never knew true wilderness. And you're right, I've never known true wilderness. But, you know, for those of us who were in, you know, kind of in the boonies, essentially, you got to know darkness. But when you're close to a city, and I mean within like a couple 100 miles of a city, damn it. You don't end up knowing true darkness for any reason. Light pollution is a thing, and you know, for those who are photographers, you know what light pollution is, especially when you're trying to do long exposures. You're aware of what that is. We deal with that. There is light, even though it doesn't seem like there is, and we're pretty used to that. It's just not something that, you know, a lot of our fellows who've been in cities all their lives really don't understand light pollution. So there's multiple different types of darkness, and like in New Orleans, it's never dark here. It really isn't. In fact, if it's overcast, it might as well be like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, even at 12 o'clock at night, just because of the. Okay, well, this should be interesting. But yeah, if it's overcast in New Orleans, like, and I mean heavy overcast. Given the amount of light that is available around the city, it might as well be, you know, that early morning time just for the sunrises, but where there's still light. That's what it is. You can navigate by that. So, you know, there's light. Darkness has different flavors, and darkness under the ground is so much more so than you ever see anywhere else. I will admit, you do get close to that level of darkness in the mountains. You know, especially when you're, or not to the same effect, but if any of you guys have ever done cross-country driving in the States, I don't know how much you see this in other countries, but I know in the States, especially when you get to someplace like the middle of Texas, for example, when you're between the towns and doing the like 80-mile drive between cities, you sometimes see this level of darkness if you pull off to the side and turn off your lights. But you know, there's different levels of darkness, and you get used to it. So I really kind of appreciated that Pokemon really tried to give us that with the idea of Flash, you know, and saying, hey, this is how you fix the darkness. But at the very same time, like, it doesn't even. We're not even getting close to the level of, you know, nonsense that you can really get. But it's really hard for a game to portray that. It really is. Like, even when your screen is black in a video game, even when it's dark, there's still light. And if you don't believe me, tell your, like, pause the video, set your computer to sleep mode. Or, you can't, it's kind of hard to do this with like a tablet or something like that. You'd have to find, like, you'd have to go full screen in a YouTube video that the screen is just flat dark. But do that sometime for me. Set your computer to sleep mode or something like that. But don't turn off the monitor. And you will see that the monitor is actually, like, displaying light. Even though the screen is dark, there is still a level of light that your monitor is displaying to you. Which, let's be fair, is the weirdest damn thing. Like, what the hell do you mean black light? It is. It's an extremely dark gray, but that's what it's doing. And don't go with me about black lights. Everybody knows it's ultraviolet. Don't even start with that with me. So yeah, just the whole like rock tunnel definitely gave me memories of going into Glenwood Cavern. And by the way, they were extraordinarily correct about the iron content in that soil. The pants and the shirt that I had gotten for that spelunking, I actually wore for several years afterwards until I kind of grew out of them. And years of washing did not get rid of that red stain. It faded away over time, but it was never truly gone. Okay. Well, we are getting there. This has been a little bit more of a harrowing experience in Pokemon, just because you've seen how low my Pokemon have gotten. You know, all of my Pokemon that are actually of a decent level have been in the yellow almost the entire episode. Now, what should happen is I should be passing into Lavender Town. Oh, hello. There's a Cubone. And there's a Cubone running. And there's Chad. Interesting. The music's not quite as creepy as it used to be. Okay. Let's go heal up and fight those last two trainers that are over there. I love that Team Rocket is known by everybody. They're basically the Mafia. Do Cantoni and Diglett look smooth? Your Diglett looks prickly. I would absolutely like to trade for your Diglett. Here. So we have gotten yet another Alolan form of a Cantonian Pokemon. I love that the Diglett comes with its own soil. Like, is that little round of rock around the Diglett, is that, like, I don't know, is that part of its body? It does look very smooth. You're not wrong. Hello, friend. Cubone does wear a skull. People will pay a lot for one of those skulls. Ooh. I wonder if you can just get one by itself. Cubone's mother tried to escape from Team Rocket, but she got caught. Well, that's not good. Okay. We're going to go do those two fights, and we're going to call it good for the day. Yeah, let's be fair. We got a lot done. Nice. Still annoyed that we have not caught an Onix yet. Onix has been my personal Everest. Now, I haven't tried, and you might think I'm about to go launching into a diatribe about how I've tried to climb mountains. That is one of the things I have not really done much. I've done plenty of hiking, and I've done some rock climbing, but I have never tried to climb a mountain. The closest one that was available to me was really Pikes Peak, but Pikes Peak is, you know, it's a 14er, it's tall. There is something called the Bar Trail that you can take, which is a hike up Pikes Peak, but you know, that takes some serious effort, and I was never up to it. Who did I lead off with? Okay. My Charmeleon's better than your Charmeleon. Let me prove it. Oh, that's so good. And he used probably the worst move against me. Let's be fair. If you're talking about a list of moves that are good to use against Charmeleon, mine is good, his is not. My dog has this habit, I do not want agility, thank you, of sleeping on my bed in such a way that she can look at me whenever she feels like. So she's doing that. She's curled up on her side, her head's down, and she's got her eyes open, just kind of looking at me. And apparently my other dog got her attention. She's actually lifting her head and looking over. Okay, let's deal with this hiker as well. The only reason I'm really dealing with all these fights is that they're not going to be worth much of anything after we leave Lavender. You know, yes, I could always come back here and fight these guys at a, you know, with low-level Pokemon, but that's almost more trouble than it's worth, especially now that we know that catching Pokemon is worth so much experience. So I would so much rather just fight these guys now, get some experience for the 2 Pokemon in my party that need the experience, and then, you know, I'll power level other things other places. The best place to power level has always been, you know, the Elite Four, once you can actually beat them regularly. So I want to get this done, because we can also get some experience for our main Pokemon, and then we also get some money. Now, naturally, if you've been keeping an eye on my money every time I open up the menu, I have so many Pokebucks. Like, I have so much money. Now, depending on what's available to buy in Celadon City, I might not have much money for much longer. Because we'll be hitting Celadon City in about 3 episodes, I believe. Around there. And we'll see what the department stores actually have. Definitely going to need to be buying a lot of stones. There's another 1,000 Pokebucks. Okay. Well, we've cleared all of the trainers on the way up to here. What's this? 3 Great Balls. Great. Wonderful. Super. Fantabulous. But that's about it for me. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I love you all. And when I see you guys next time, we'll be exploring Lavender Town. I'll see you soon.